Hi, I'm Carmen Imes, Associate Professor of Old Testament at Biola University. Welcome back for another Torah Tuesday. We are working our way through the 10 commandments of Exodus chapter 20, and today we're in verse 14, another short one. It simply reads, "You must not commit adultery." So what does it mean to commit adultery, and why is that such a big deal? Well, to commit adultery in the Bible was to violate the marriage of one's neighbor. This was a crime that was considered so serious that violators were subject to the death penalty. Why such a big deal? Isn't it okay to love whoever we want to love? Isn't all love basically good? Shouldn't we follow our hearts? According to the Bible, no. Committing adultery jeopardizes paternity, which causes a lot of social instability in ancient Israel. So if you don't know exactly who the father of the child is, then how do you know to which household he belongs and whose land he should inherit? It causes legal complications. It also causes jealousy and infighting and all kinds of tension. More importantly, a community that tolerates infidelity in the most intimate relationships will tolerate deception on any other level. Other illicit forms of sex also had consequences, although this command is directed specifically at the violation of a neighbor's marriage. If you violated your neighbor's unmarried daughter, that also came with strict consequences. Proverbs chapter 5, verses 1 through 6 calls sexual indiscretion self-destructive and unwise. Adultery becomes a metaphor in the Bible for Israel's unfaithfulness to Yahweh. God has brought Israel into covenant with himself, and it's supposed to be a relationship of exclusive loyalty. Israel's not supposed to worship any other gods, kind of like a couple getting married promises not to have eyes for anyone else and to remain faithful to one another. And when Israel worships other gods, it's the equivalent of violating a marriage covenant. Marital faithfulness is a daily choice to choose and honor and prioritize your spouse. All others are off limits, romantically or sexually. This doesn't mean we can't have friendships or work relationships or sibling relationships as brothers and sisters in Christ. But the only person to whom we should have an intimate sexual connection is our spouse. This includes pornography, digital simulations, robots, video games that have sexual content. These mechanisms disciple our brains to respond to other people as objects of sexual gratification or conquest. It reorients our thinking to make it all about me and my sexual gratification or sexual release, rather than seeing every person as someone who is God's image and who is a brother or sister to be protected and honored. Things like pornography avoid the more difficult and essential work of fostering healthy communication between two people. It's easier just to find sexual release through some kind of digital stimulation. Relationships are hard work. But God designed sex to connect people, to connect one man and one woman in a relationship of lifetime loyalty and faithfulness to one another. And the beautiful thing about the sexual relationship is that it cements that bond between a husband and wife. When we look outside of our marriage for sexual gratification, we begin training our brain to think of everything as a sexual possibility. God designed us for intimate connection with others, and sexual desire is a key ingredient in God's recipe for healthy community, but it is so often twisted and misconstrued as a right or a need or even a core aspect of human personhood or identity that must find expression if we're to flourish. That's a lie. God created us to flourish in relationships of non-sexual intimacy with each other and with Him. Jesus Himself was single He didn't have a sexual relationship with anyone, and yet he truly flourished as a person made as God's image. The misuse of sexual desire leads to all manner of enslavement, addiction, exploitation, objectification, and a failure to flourish in our relationships with God and with others. So today is a great time for us to reconsider this command, the command not to commit adultery, and to ask ourselves, have I been guarding my thoughts and have I been guarding my behavior so that I am cultivating loyalty either to the one person with whom I have entered into a lifelong relationship of marriage, or if I've not entered into a lifelong marriage, have I been disciplining myself to surrender my sexual desire as an offering to God as I wait to see whether He brings someone into my life for that kind of lifetime commitment? The life of celibacy, the life of waiting, is one that honors God and that can bring true and lasting joy. And so I hope that wherever you're at in your own journey, you would heed the Bible's call to sexual fidelity in marriage and sexual abstinence outside of marriage. Have a great week.